Hi, welcome back to the channel. This time I'm going to be doing a walk around and a test drive on my own 900 Turbo. Picture the scene, it's 2003. Tony Blair was still in power. The Iraq War was just starting. There's no Facebook, no Google. MySpace was a choice of social media. 9/11 was only 2 years previous, and I had more hair on my head. So basically 2003 is when I bought this car, so I've had this for 20 years. That is half of my life I've owned this vehicle. In the time I've done a lot of work on it. It's rarely been off the road. I've used it most of the time I've had it. So it has been a work in progress, a very long work in progress, because maintenance of a old 900 Turbo is not easy. Especially if you're doing all the work yourself and you have no money, which I have not had a great deal to spend on this at the time I've had it. At the time I've had it, I have put a engine and a gearbox in it. It's had various gearboxes, it's had plenty of welding on it. The modifications I've undertaken on it have been a stainless steel exhaust system. It has a Jetex twin exit tailpipe on it. The rest of the system I custom made in stainless. The front pipe actually is a SAAB item, optional stainless system. The middle and back sections were made up. It's got a set of JMX lowering springs on it, which I don't think you can even buy JMX anymore. I bought them brand new, they're very good quality, they improve the ride actually over the standard ride. It's got a free flow air filter, it's got a T16S gearbox in it, so it's quite long geared. It's got a bleed valve, I've fitted an electric driver's seat. It's had ups-rated speakers and radio, Goodrich stainless steel brake hoses on the flexies. I've relocated the dump valve on it, and I've fitted the earlier Aero wheels, because this one came with a twisted 3 spokes, which came on the 92 model, which this one is. Up to 91 and early 92 they had these wheels, and then they went to the later ones, but they weren't in very good condition, so I just swapped them for these. Standard features on the 900 are disc brakes all round, ABS. It's actually a Ford ABS system made by ATE, which they use on the Cosworths and Granadas and stuff like that, which doesn't actually have a brake servo. It has a high pressure bulb on it, which constantly keeps pressure to the brake pedal, and you get a fantastic feel through the pedal, better than you do with a standard servo. It's got heated seats in it, automatically heated in this. It's got cruise control, which I've actually fitted. Open the door. Standard features also electric sunroof. All the turbos had sunroofs, the later ones were electric. The only ones that didn't have a sunroof were the tax bracket model in the late 80s, which is a 2-door item, which didn't have electric windows or alloy wheels or sunroof or anything like that. It was a cheaper model basically, but it's still a turbo engine. All 8 valves, they were those. Bronze tinted glass. It's got a built-in roll cage on these, which is part of the roof structure and side pillars. The collapsible steering column. It's got a pollen filter, which may sound pretty standard and like what's the big deal in that, but Saab actually, as I'm aware, they developed and invented the pollen filter, and the Saab 900 was the first car in the world to actually have a pollen filter on it. It's a 16 valve model, this one, a B202. It was originally a light pressure turbo with 143 horsepower, but with some modifications I've got it up to, I think, probably around 200 horsepower, which will probably give somewhere in the region of 214 pound per foot or around 290 newton meters of torque. 0 to 60 on this, you're looking about 7 seconds, because I've timed it a couple of times and it's been 7 seconds. Top speed on this, since it's been modified, is 150 plus. If you look at the speedo, it only goes to 140, so the reset button there for the trip meter, the speedo needle will actually push against that, so it's beyond 150 when it is maxed out. I've done some research on the load capacity of this, because it is amazing at carrying anything really. It's just like an estate car, even though it looks like a hatchback. Well, it is a hatchback, but if you look at the size of the boot, it's vast, it's massive. I've taken up some space because it's got a sub in it with a Pioneer 12-disc changer, Alpine V12 amplifier, 6x9s in the shelf, which are actually hidden so you can't see them. It's quite commodious. So the boot capacity on this, you're looking about 221.3 cubic feet, or about 610 litres. I'm not sure if that's folded down with the seats or if it's with the seats up. The load length on these, you're looking about 6 foot or 1.83 metres, so you can sleep in these. So I'll just put the shelf back down. Shelf holds up that little item there. I fitted 3 headrests to this as well. They're at the 9000 because they have the slots in the back of the seats for the middle headrests, and if you wanted you could just put the extra clip in and you got a 3rd headrest there. Okay, I'll take a quick walk around the inside in a second. So inside this one I've got the electric driver's seat with 3 memory positions. It's got the electric windows, electric roof, cruise control as previously mentioned. It's got a leather steering wheel, again real leather, it's not recycled leather or anything like that, and it's got like a very soft leather gear lever-gator, which is all standard items apart from the electric seat which I fitted, and the cruise control which was an option but I fitted it from another model. It has done a lot of mileage, this one. This one's done 350,000 miles. When I got it 20 years ago it had done 232,000, and it had been used as a van. The guy did woodwork and stonework. He was some kind of an artist, and he worked with mediums such as that. So the boot was a mess. It's also used as a family car, so when I got it, it was an absolute tip inside. I've had to replace the dash top, and I've actually put the earlier type fascia in it that has a little silver outline on it there, and the silver line on the glove box, because this had the 1992 model version, which has a plain glove box and it has no silver trim around the dash fascia. I've had to do plenty of welding on this over the years, because if anyone's owned a classic 900 that's done a few miles, you'll know that they do like to rot, mainly in the extremities such as the wheel arches on the insides, near the suspension mounts at the front, and on the front panel which sits behind the bumper, which I do have some photos of that, the work I've done on it. But generally under the floor and the sills and stuff like that is pretty solid. I'll just pop the bonnet and we'll have a look under the bonnet. This also has headlamp wipers like all 900s do, and they do work on this as well, and they've got tiny little washer jets which sit just on top of that plastic thing there, and they squirt water onto the headlight glass as they're operating. Right, so have a look under the bonnet here. Got the excellent classic 900 fuse box there. We've got the ABS system here, which is that's the pressure bulb which keeps constant pressure on the brake pedal when you're using the brakes, so you get great pedal feel. It's got a plug there, and I don't know if you can see that. It has actually got a Ford symbol on it because it is originally a Ford system which SAAB adapted to use on their cars, on the 900 such as this and the earlier 9000s. This has the Lucas injection system, which is a similar system used by Jaguar. So they use their own air mass meter, their own injectors, ECU and all that lot, all made in the UK, and it does work pretty well. It's quite reliable, it's not bad to work on. So this is the B202 engine. I've got the earlier rocker cover on this, which has this alloy brush section here, which the later ones don't, and a flat panel here as opposed to having the scalloped shape in the middle there. Runs a Bosch ignition system, and the timing is adjustable on the turbos, not on the injections, but it is on the turbos. and the battery sits just down there, which a lot of people think why they put the battery next to the turbocharger. I don't know why. They could have put it in the boot, which would have compromised a bit of boot space, but it would have made it easier, a bit more space in the engine bay. Having the turbo next to the battery doesn't really bother it at all. You've got the heat shield there, and there's never any issues with it. Huge washer bottle. It takes about 5 litres of fluid, which is plenty really. It's got Italian air horns on this as well, which were fitted many years ago, I think back in 2005, something like that. It also has the uprated dash speakers, which is a SAAB option, which actually use Philips items. Those tweeters are also used by Bang & Olufsen on their home hi-fi equipment as well, so they are very good quality. Bonnet has full-size sound deadening on it, standard heat shield for the turbocharger there, any heat from there so it doesn't damage the paint on the bonnet. Obviously forward canted clamshell bonnet as you get on all 900s and 99s. That's an original bonnet badge, it's not an aftermarket one, and that's actually off a very early one because it's still aluminium as opposed to plastic. Right, let's have a quick look around the inside. So it's got velour seats in this, interior panels much like the convertible review I did. As you can see if you watch the convertible review, it has different sills in this. This is the standard sills you get on a 999. The scalloped inwards as to not get snow and stuff on the sill. So the idea was when you get in and out of the vehicle, you don't get dirt and stuff on you. And plus, also, if you are not able-bodied as you'd like to be, you can crawl in and out easier. Wait for that motorbike to go past. Quite easily because it's got quite a low sill line, so you don't have to crawl over any huge sill. Incredibly strong as well. Side impact protection is all built into that. As well as the doors, you have huge side impact beams behind these expanded foam door panels, which also shield you from side impacts. They take a lot of energy away. Velour seats, real velour, not like some kind of brushed nylon or anything. They're fantastic quality. They've worn pretty well considering the mileage. Back seats, 3 headrests, foldable armrest as well. Very comfortable in the back. If you're a normal sized person, like below 6 foot or something, they are very comfortable to ride in. There's enough space. If you're over 6 foot, you do struggle a bit with leg room. The back seats are actually like a mattress. They've got over 400 coil springs within the base and the backrest of these seats, and they're backed with very thick plywood covered in black vinyl. They're properly tailored and upholstered seats. Not like a lot of cars which just have a piece of moulded foam and a stamped steel base to it. These are like really very comfortable. You've got seat pockets in the back for maps and other items. You've got grab handles, central interior light. The interior light in the front is behind the mirror, and the idea behind that was that it didn't dazzle yourself when the interior light was turned on. It lights up the dash and all around here, and you can read stuff quite easily without getting dazzled. Huge centre console. You can fit like 4 bottles of water in there. This is an item you put your phone or sunglasses in. You could, on the early models, when you went for a SAAB optional uprated stereo, you could have like a amplifier or a graphic equalizer in this section here. It's a standard single DIN item. Or you could have 3 gauge pods in there with your oil temperature, pressure and outside temp, or whatever gauge you wanted to put in there. Behind the glove box, this little bit here is actually a grab handle, so when you get in and out or you want to hoof yourself forward, you can pull on that. It's actually a grab handle built into there which is invisible, which is a cracking design. Glove box, pretty decent size. It's not very deep but it's a good shape. Gear knob, that needs a bit of refurb, but that is a proper SAAB item. I'm not sure what kind of wood that is, but that's been on. I put that on myself when I first got the car. So I think that's it for the walk around. Quick look around the outside. So these back bumpers and side skirts, I've had these repainted by a body shop not far from here called Olkers, John Olkers, and he's done an amazing job getting the finish just right. It's like a semi-satin finish, metallic grey, using the proper SAAB colour code for it. And he's done an amazing job on that, because a lot of these bumpers, even though they're quite tough and hardy or anything, they do get scuffs and stuff on them, especially the turbo ones that are painted, and they can look quite tatty if you haven't had them refurbed or anything. The alloy wheels I had refurbed to a place local to me. These are in very poor condition, and they've done a fantastic job on them. They were done in 2016, I think, and they're 15-inch by 5.5J with 195/60 tyres on them. I've got Goodyear NCT5 Eagles on the back, and on the front I've got Toyo Praxis CF2s, which are absolutely fantastic tyres, which are not that old, they're about 18 months old or so. I did want to get the NCT5s to match, because they are really good tyres, but you can't get them anymore in this size, unfortunately. But being on the back of the car, they don't wear out, because they've got a straight axle on them with no camber or anything like that. They don't really wear the tyres, so they can stay on there for years. Just got to keep an eye out for them cracking and perishing and stuff like that. Okay, we'll start it up and we'll get out on the road. Heard from that gear change, they don't like quick shifting, the manuals, so they do crunch, because the synchro rings aren't really up to the job of quick shifting. This one does like to wheel spin in second gear and sometimes even third gear. If it's a cooler temperature outside, the car tends to run a bit more boost, because there's more oxygen in the air, so the engine breathes better. So compared to the convertible I took out, this manual version is much more lively. And obviously, being a hard top as well, it doesn't get the scuttle shake like you get in the convertible. The camera mount is rattling a bit there, so that was the camera mount rattling, not the actual car itself. Oh, right, okay. The ride quality is pretty good in these, as from the previous one. I test drove, much the same. Don't get much wind noise really. There is a bit of, the engine noise does intrude a little bit. I don't know why that is on the SAAB 900s and the 99s, but they're not the quietest inside. When you're revving them high, when you're cruising on the motorway, when you're not caning them, they are quiet enough, but as you're driving them spiritedly, they do have a bit of engine noise intrusion, but it's not a bad sound. So this one's got the ABS braking system on it, and it's got the later brakes compared to the black convertible I drove a few weeks ago. So the brakes are much improved on these. The calipers are a lot more modern. stronger on it. Handbrake works on the back on this one, not on the front like the previous one. The way these cars track as well, straight line stability is absolutely, you know, fantastic. I mean, you do like tests on them, so if you're cruising along on the motorway, if you take hands off the wheel, they're not going to like start to wander or anything like that. They will track in a straight line, and having equal length drive shafts and stuff like that all helps with inline stability when accelerating. I mean, all the noise and banging you hear, the roads around here are absolutely shocking. They're completely pitted with ruts and potholes and sunken grids. They're in very poor condition. Temporary traffic lights now. I didn't factor this in on the test drive. Even though this is just a 4-cylinder, and the exhaust note is quite sweet on it. The turbo models, it is better than the injections. It's got a nice deep burble to it, and it doesn't get tiring on long journeys or anything like that. You know, some 4-cylinder cars, like most of them, they don't sound very nice, but the SAAB 4-cylinder, in my opinion, is one of the best sounding 4-cylinders ever made. They're extremely tough engine on these. The crankshaft on this one, which is probably like most of the B202s from the Aero, is actually made by Bofors Defence, which is a Swedish military corporation. I don't know what they do exactly. They do like their Ministry of Defence basically. There's stamping on the crankshaft, which indicates that the crankshaft is cast by those people. The engine in this one, the bottom end, is from a 1988 model, rebuilt itself, new timing chain. Head gasket, obviously, new bearings in it and stuff like that, and that engine has done 200,000 miles, and it's done many more since I fitted it, obviously, and it's been pretty good, quite reliable. They don't use much oil. You've got to check the oil every couple of months or so, but they don't use a great deal of it. This is a lot longer geared than the automatic, so at 70 we're at 2,600 RPM, which is quite relaxed. You don't have to change gear really to go any faster, because there's so much torque with these engines that, you know, unless you've driven one, you won't really understand what they're all about. I mean, you can rev them out like I've just driven it, but if you want to drive it relaxed, you can do. There's no need to have the engine screaming. So, say in 5th gear you wanted to go faster and you're doing about 50, you just hold the accelerator down and it'll just take you there, you know, to whatever speed you want to go to, really. A bit of a Jekyll and Hyde of a vehicle, because it can be very relaxed, very docile and laid back, but when you need to get across country fast, if you know how to drive it, it is a very quick vehicle. Mid-range is the ace card really for the SAABs, especially the old turbos like this. They're not all about outright horsepower, but it's more like drivability and tractability. So 3rd gear, say you're doing about 45, plant the throttle and it'll just launch itself, and it'll take you all the way up to probably about 95, something like that, and then 4th gear will take you up to about 120. And then 5th gear, obviously, whatever speed you want to go to, because it's, as I say, the speedo needle has buried itself to the reset button before now, on a few occasions. The seats are extremely comfortable in this. I mean, I've been to Devon and back in this car, and other places as well, long journeys, and your back is just, you know, it feels like being sat in a really comfortable armchair. Absolutely fantastic. Right, so that concludes the test drive. Right, that's my 900 turbo. 20 years owned, half my life. It's like a life sentence keeping on top of this, but it is rewarding. I get compliments in it. When people see it and stuff, I got complimented this morning actually just putting fuel in it, and I said thank you to the guy. You know, it means a lot when you put so much work into a vehicle and then people actually make the effort to say, you know, it's a lovely car or whatever. You know, I really appreciate it. There is going to be a lot of work done on this vehicle, including a headlining, uprated fuel pump, got some engine mounts to fit, got the right hand wing here I need to sort out, as well as this driver's door, even though it may not look too bad, it does need replacing, and I have got a replacement, so there's plenty more to come on this one. So thank you all for watching, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.